So you're a new creator and you want to start making quality videos, but you don't really know where to start, right? You look online, you see all of these amazing content creators with awesome quality videos that just look so good, and you want to be at that level, but you might not have the budget yet. And also you might not know where to start, what to look at, what sort of things you should have when investing in new video equipment. So in this video, I'm going to tell you the top 5 cameras that you can get as a new creator, starting from the cheapest all the way up to the most expensive, and in my opinion the best out of the lot. And I'm going to tell you which one is the best for you and how to make good quality videos. And we're going to start with number 1, which is this. Come on, let me show you. Right, now I've switched over to the iPhone 15 Pro. Now this is the selfie camera. The downside of recording with a phone is that you can't really see yourself or frame yourself correctly unless you have it attached to some sort of external monitor or a computer display or anything like that. If you just want to do run and gun shots and filming, then unfortunately you have to use the selfie camera a lot, because then you can look in the frame and see how you look. Otherwise you can't really do that. Maybe in the future with phones they will attach a little screen to the back so that you can see what your framing looks like. But the problem with these sorts of cameras is that the best cameras are on the back of the phone, and you can record with the best cameras, but like in the sort of run and gun style, but you don't really know what it looks like. With this, at least you know what it looks like. So this is the selfie camera. This is recording 4K 30 frames per second. It's nighttime, so it's not the best in low light, but it does a good job. I mean, you can make a good enough video with this. And like I said, I've got my cheap $40, $50 microphone. The wireless receiver is plugged in, and then the microphone is here. So the audio is coming out of that via a wireless receiver that's baked straight into the phone. So you don't have to mess around with it. So if you want to get started creating videos and you're not sure where to begin and you don't really know how to start, and you want to buy a camera but you haven't got the money to get a camera, or maybe you have got the money but you don't know what to get and it's all overwhelming because you've got to suddenly learn how to use cameras, just start like this. If you've got a 13 Pro or a 14 Pro, 15 Pro, doesn't matter, anything over the last couple of years, even Samsung, Android, whatever phone you've got, anything over the last couple of years is going to work for this. It's going to be good enough. And then you get a cheap wireless microphone. Just because it's cheap doesn't mean it's bad. As you can see, this is producing good enough quality footage. It's not terrible. You can use it. Some of the best creators in the world started with terrible webcams that were awful. Today, technology has advanced so much that you can actually make a good video with a mobile phone and a wireless microphone. So if you want to start making videos, don't make excuses saying I haven't got all the best camera in the world, haven't got the best lenses, haven't got the best equipment, I haven't got all the best lighting, I haven't got $300-400 microphone setups. You don't need it. Okay, well, if you're just getting started, this is how you start. You've got a much bigger advantage that the biggest creators never had, because you have got the advantage of modern technology catching up, and you can record good quality video like this just with I'm not using any lights. I've got a lamp in the background. That's just a lamp that we've got at home. The light is on in the dining room. This is our dining room space. The light is on above me. It's nighttime. I'm not using any big studio lights. I'm not using anything else other than I'm propping my phone up on a box. That's how it's propped up. I've got the DJI Osmo Mobile 6 here, but the battery is dead on it, so I'm not using that right now. I'm showing you how you can make a video in its most simplest form by using the simplest kit that you have available to you. It's because a lot of people will complain and say that they don't have the kit, or they don't have the money, or they just can't do it, because I haven't got that $3,000, $5,000 setup that these big creators have. You don't need it. Look, I'm just showing you, this is it in its simplest form. The phone is recording in 4K 30 frames per second on the selfie camera. It's at night, there's no studio lights, just my light above me. I've got a $40-50 microphone plugged in, which is wireless one. It's here, that's my audio, and the phone is propped up against the box in my dining room. Now, I'm not trying to dampen your ego or anything, but I just feel like sometimes people need a bit of a kick up the butt, and they just need to be told that you can just get started. Just get out your phone, just spend $50 on a microphone from Amazon. This is called a Boya one. I'll leave a link in the description below, but this is just one I found from looking on Amazon. I'm not sponsored by these people or anything. I just wanted a nice plug and play microphone, and this does the job. And it's fantastic, it's phenomenal. You can use it on the go. So this is it in its most basic form. If you want to start making videos with your phone, and this is how you can do it. And it still looks decent enough for you to put it on YouTube and people will watch it. If you want to reach your audience, if you've got a message to get out there and say, then start doing this. Now, if you're just starting and you want to invest in an actual camera rather than using your phone, then I would highly recommend the Sony ZV-E10. Now, this is a brilliant entry-level camera for creators and even photographers and vloggers and whatever you want to use it for. Even if you just want to use it to take it away with your family on a holiday or a vacation, or go to an event somewhere and you just want to film some footage with it and take some brilliant photos with it, this camera is phenomenal. It is so good, and the price is an absolute steal for what it is. This is an APS-C sensor. Now what that means is that on bigger cameras you have the full frame sensor, which is a really big full frame where it captures all of the light coming in, and it just will perform a lot better. But the APS-C is smaller, but it still does so well. You can put a good lens on it and it will give you excellent video footage. Now bear in mind that because it's an APS-C sensor, it does crop in. So if you have a 16mm lens on it, then that will compensate, and you will have, it will zoom in. Obviously you won't get 16mm, it will zoom in, but you will get, I think you'll get 24mm if you have a 16, if that makes sense, because of the way it crops in. But this is really, really good. It removes all of the sort of professional elements of a camera. Like, it removes your mode dial on the top, it removes the viewfinder. To be honest, I find I very rarely use the viewfinder. I use my articulated screen on it. This has a fully articulated screen. You can flip it around however you want, and I will use that most of the time anyway. It has a button to switch from photo to video mode, and it also has a button on the top that enables you to turn on the bokeh, which is the background blur, which is that nice cinematic background blur that you see behind me, that you get whenever you have a main subject, and then you get that beautiful buttery smooth background blur, which is called bokeh. Now the Sony ZV-E10 does this brilliantly. It's just got a button you press and it turns it on and off, which I think is incredible. It removes all of the issues with overcomplicating video and photography, because when you're just getting started, you're going to have a lot to learn anyway. And if you're spending all of your time learning how to use all the professional modes and all the professional mode dials on a camera, you're going to cut out a large amount of time that you could use making videos. And this just removes that whole complication. It shortens the learning curve. It just makes it a lot simpler. So if you want to get that, it records, I think it records 4K over up to 60 frames per second. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong, but I think it records up to 60 frames per second. So you can do a little bit of slow motion there, and it's just good. It's got a 12 megapixel sensor, APS-C. It's got all of Sony's autofocus, which, if you don't know what that is just the industry leading for autofocus. In my opinion anyway, some people may disagree with me, but I think Sony is just the best for autofocus. And it has their advanced processors inside. It has S-Cinetone, which means that it kind of color grades the video for you in the camera, so you've got very little color grading to do. You don't even have to do any if you don't want to. I record most of my videos in S-Cinetone. If I'm doing professional videos, I will record in log, because it just gives you much more options and much more variety of dynamic range and colors to edit with. But if I'm just recording YouTube videos like this, I don't use log. I just put it in the S-Cinetone mode, and I do very minimal color grading just to sharpen it up a bit and brighten it up a bit and make it look a bit more punchy. And it just shortens the whole thing. You don't need to spend hours editing and color grading just to bang out a YouTube video or make a family video. You can if you really want to go the whole 9 yards, but you don't need to. You can get really good footage from just doing it in this mode. So it has S-Cinetone, which does that, which color grades it for you, essentially. It's the most simplistic way ever of explaining it. It has the Sony processor, it has the industry leading autofocus, and it just is a really nice compact camera that you can use. It also has a built-in microphone, which is great. Now, if you time this right, you can get that for around $600 with the kit lens that comes with it, which is a brilliant bargain. So make sure to stay tuned for deals that's coming up, Black Friday, Prime Day, stuff like that, and you can get one for a really good price. Now, if you want a brilliant one and done camera that can do absolutely everything, then this is the camera for you. This is the Sony a7 IV, and I use this for most of my videos, what you see. Now, this is a brilliant camera. It can record in 4K 60 frames per second. You can use it for professional videos. You could use this for a professional video shoot on a wedding or a brand shoot or anything like that. This is what a lot of people use as professional photography cameras. It's got a 33 megapixel full frame sensor. It has a fully articulating screen, so you can flip it around so you can watch yourself if you're recording yourself. It has no recording limit issues. It has brilliant battery life. It has a full HDMI port, so you can plug your HDMI into it and you can live stream with that. It's got USB-C for file transfer. You can use it wirelessly. This thing is an absolute powerhouse for both video creation and photography. So if you want a camera for taking photos with your family or friends, and you also want to use it for content creation and video creation, or if you want a camera, if you want to do content creation and you want to be a full-time photographer, and you can only get one camera, this is the one I would get, because this can do absolutely everything. It's brilliant. There's probably better cameras out there now since this has come out. For example, another Sony a7 IV is on the horizon, and the R5 has just come out. But this thing is just so good. I love it. You have no overheating issues. You have no recording limit issues. It has a CF Express Type A card if you want to do the super fast transfer speeds, or if you want to use, or if you want to record super high quality footage. It has 2 SD card slots. It has a line input like most cameras do, so you can put your audio in here and put a microphone on top if you want to get like a shotgun mic or something like that. It's just, I love it. The grip is really good. It's really nice to hold. It doesn't feel like there's not enough grip there. It's good to hold. I just love this. It's got S-Cinetone as well. All of the Sony cameras have S-Cinetone, which I record all of my YouTube videos on this camera. Now, when I got my camera, the Sony ZV-E1 wasn't out. It didn't exist. So I ended up buying the a7 IV. I've had this for about almost 2 years now. And the reason why I got this one is because I wanted to go into photography. I wanted to use it to take photos of my family and my friends, and I wanted it to make all my professional YouTube videos with. So it was like a one and done camera for me, and that's why I got it. However, if the Sony ZV-E1 would have been out at the time I was buying, I would have bought that, purely because I am mainly a video maker. I don't really use photography that much. And the Sony ZV-E1 can take photography. It's phenomenal for video, and it just doesn't have all the extras that I don't particularly need for this camera. So I would have got that if that was out when I was getting one. But having had this for nearly 2 years, I'm not disappointed that I got it. I don't regret it. It is a brilliant camera, and I'm not getting rid of it. I'm going to be keeping it because it was the first professional camera that I bought. I'm going to keep it, and I will probably end up getting bigger and better cameras for my video setup, but this is staying with me forever and I love it. So if you want a camera that can do everything for photography and video, and you can only buy one, this is the one you want to get. So now let's talk about the next camera on my list, and we're going to go back into the studio for that. Now, next up on our list is another Sony. Now, no surprise, I know, and you're probably going to think, what is up with this guy to keep talking about Sonys? But no, I'm not sponsored by Sony, and no, Sony have not sent me anything or told me to say anything. These are completely my opinions, and any purchases I've made are completely made by myself. They're not given to me or any products or anything like that. But basically, I just think Sonys are the best when it comes to cameras, especially for creators, because they have harnessed what I think is the essence of bringing out a camera that creators want, that's compact, that strips all of the extra bells and whistles that the bigger cameras have, that all the big professional cameras have, because sometimes creators don't need all that. They just want something they can point and shoot and put in their bag, and that is it. We're not talking about professional filmmakers here. We're not talking about professional photographers that go and do $10,000 deals with brands. We are talking about a content creator that wants to take it away for their vlog, that wants to put it on top of a stand and make YouTube videos, that wants to use it as a run and gun point and shoot type camera and then plug it in, download the footage, edit it and make a video out of it. These are the type of people we're talking about, and that includes me as well. And this camera, the next one, is the Sony ZV-E1. Now, there is a price jump here because the ZV-E10 was about $600 or $700 there or thereabouts, and the ZV-E1 is about $2,500. Now you're wondering why this camera is $2,000 more expensive and what it gives you extra. Well, the thing is, it looks kind of the same as the ZV-E10, but it does have some better features. Now, the main difference being that the ZV-E10 has an APS-C sensor, which is a much smaller sensor. The ZV-E1 has a full frame sensor, which is much bigger, brings in a lot more light. It's going to have much more professional looking footage, and especially if you put the right lens on it, it's just going to look absolutely phenomenal.
ZV-E1! The smallest, lightest, full-frame interchangeable lens camera, capable of shooting 4K 60p, S-Log 3, 10-bit 422, 15 plus stops of dynamic range, insane low-light capabilities, easy cinematic vlog mode, and the latest and greatest AI subject recognition autofocus.
Now, the biggest gripe that I think people have with it is that it has a micro HDMI cable. Now, I don't know why, because even if it had a mini HDMI cable, people would have accepted that and could have moved on with it. But a micro HDMI cable, it's just stupid. I don't know why they've done that. Now, the big difference between this camera and our next camera is that HDMI cable. But if you want a camera if you have a couple of $1,000 as a budget and you want to get a camera that you can use for years, that's going to be your main camera for making videos, this is the one to get. This camera is used by so many people, so many big content creators, so many big YouTubers with millions of subscribers. They use the Sony ZV-E1 because it is just brilliant for everything. So if I'm going to recommend any camera to you, if you've got the money, get the ZV-E1. And last on our list is the best of the best, in my opinion, for video, and that is the Sony FX3. Now, this is Sony's cinema line of cameras. That was the Sony FX3, the Sony FX6, the FX9, and so on. But the FX3 is kind of like the entry-level one. It's a mirrorless camera, has a full frame sensor, and the thing here is that this one is about $3,500, and it doesn't have a built-in microphone. The ZV-E1 has a built-in microphone, and it comes with a little windshield that you can put on the top of that microphone. So even if you don't have a microphone to put with it, you can use the internal microphone with the ZV-E1. The FX3, you can't do that. It doesn't have a microphone built in. Now, there are three main differences between the Sony ZV-E1 and the FX3. Now, the ZV-E1 does have a microphone. The FX3 does not. The ZV-E1 has a built-in microphone and comes with a little windshield you can put on it. So even if you don't want to buy a microphone, you can use the built-in one, and it's pretty decent from what I've seen. The FX3 doesn't have one. The FX3 does, however, come with a top handle, an XLR top handle, that you can plug an XLR cable in and plug an XLR microphone into it. So you could use a professional shotgun mic, you could use a microphone like this, you could use any microphone you can plug in with an XLR cable into the top of that FX3. Next difference is the build quality. The build quality on the FX3 is much more versatile, which looks much more premium, is much more well built, is much more durable than the ZV-E1. Now, is that $1,000 difference? I'll let you be the judge of that. But it is better built, and it does have more mounts on it because it's made to be a cinema line camera, to have a lot of different attachments put on it so that it can be optimized properly to give you the best results. That's what it's made for. So the build quality is different and looks more premium and has a lot more ports to it and attachments you can put on it. Thirdly, it's the slots. So this has two CF Express Type A slots and two SD card slots, and it has a full HDMI port. So if you want the best of the best camera and you have $3,500 spare, then get that. But bear in mind, you're going to need to get a microphone as well. So let's say you spend $300 on a microphone, and then another $50 on a cable, and then another $100 or so on an SD card. You're going to end up spending $4,000 on your FX3 setup. So bear in mind, you're not just paying $3,500 for the camera and the XLR top handle. You're going to end up having to get a good SD card, and you're going to end up having to get a good microphone and the XLR cable to go with it. So you're going to end up spending around $4,000 to get the Sony FX3 and everything that goes with it to really optimize your setup and make it amazing and the best it can be. If you get the Sony ZV-E1, you can just spend $2,500 and you've got a camera and a microphone. And obviously you're going to need an SD card as well, but taking that out of it, you've got a camera and a microphone built in. So just remember that when it comes to buying it. But if you wanted me to recommend any one of these, it's a tough choice. For budget, you've got the Sony ZV-E10. For an everything camera that can do photography and video, and you can use to diversify your profile, and if you can only get one camera to do all of that and it does everything brilliantly, you've got the Sony a7 IV. If you want the perfect content creator's camera that you can whack in your bag, and it's a one and done camera, it can record 4K, 120 frames per second, and it can take 12 megapixel still photos. It's small, it's compact, it's brilliant, it's got a built-in microphone. You've got the Sony ZV-E1. And if you want the best of the best cinema line quality camera where you're going to need to attach other things to it, but it is just going to be the best of the best, the Sony FX3. Now, one more bonus camera that I'm going to recommend for you to look at is the new Lumix S5 Mark II. Now, this thing is a powerhouse, and it does have a really good looking color accuracy. It has a full frame sensor. It can record 6K. If you want to go more than 4K, it can record 6K. And it just looks like a phenomenal camera from what I've seen. So check out the Lumix S5 Mark II. So if you have any questions below, drop them below in the comments. I do read them. And if you're not subbed to the channel, now will be a great time to subscribe, because a lot of you that watch these videos don't subscribe. So please subscribe to get all of my latest videos on getting started with your creator journey. And as always, I'll see you next time.